Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Okay, sir.
I'm okay.
Okay, sir. A happy morning to one and all present here. I welcome you all to the AICTE IST sponsored FDP Day 4. And today's session is about cognitive learning in Bloom's taxonomy. So, for the session here, we have Dr. Shiva Subramanian, sir, an eminence professional with 14 years of experience in teaching, research, guiding, and mentoring, understanding of the basic principles of the subject, his relevance to the other domains, and he's having in-depth knowledge of various techniques and approaches applied at the research project, an acute planner with a track record of implementing system and controls, motivational activities, and education values during career span, proficiency in handling with the administrative activities, ensuring management like training seminars and upholding of the institution's vision. He is experienced and having skills in developing curriculum as a member of board of studies to accommodate different learning styles and maximizing students comprehension, conducted various workshops and trainings and seminars, and he's exercised judgment with generally defined practices in selecting methods and techniques for obtaining solutions. And he is working as a professor in the Department of EEE, Karpan College of Engineering, Coimbatore since June 2018. He is also a certified national trainer on soft skills and have trained various sectors on soft skills and management skills. He also have trained pre-final and final year students of ASSET, PSNA, and MGR College and ST Joseph College, Huzur, on employability skills. So with this good introduction, I welcome you, sir, for this wonderful session. Thank you, sir, for giving an opportunity for being in the part of your session also. And I welcome you all on the behalf of Department of MBA as well as Department of Karpan College of Engineering. And I welcome you, sir, for this wonderful session. Now the session is for your hands, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sheetal, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I have just now the screen again. Hope the screen is visible. Yeah. Somebody let me know whether the screen is visible.
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. A pleasant morning, all my fellow teaching programming teams and research scholars or the learner on the whole, right? Close to the AICTE sponsor the FDP, and it's a 6 days program, and credit to the director for her active organ and leading the team for going on this, right? Well, my dear faculty members, this is the fifth. 5.2 is a session, right? 15 seconds. Me here to talk something on learning in taxonomy, and, as explained as introduced by Sheeta. I'm basically an instrumentation engineer. Then at my position in the academic productions, and in that administrative team of Board of Studies and Academic Council, and served as a member as a deputy controller of examination, controller of examination office, and then working with industries and on training and placements. It has given me a thought of what is that one thing that we as a teaching fraternity have to do something for the students' mind. So that's a role that's looking all this, and this is a platform for me to share my experience. All might be fewer points, which is that is something which I would like to introduce to you, right? So what is the concept that running behind in this session? Okay, so when you look slide, you might just get surprised whether this fellow has to talk something about Bloom's taxonomy, or what is right? It's just conveyed to this topic. There are two keywords which I just want to stress upon. Right? One is on the word stress, the other one is on the passion. Just have a moment to understand what it speaks about, like what it defines about our work and what defines about working hard on what we care and what we love. When you care on about what you are working on, then you get stressed up, right? And when you work hard on something which you love, it's something that's a passion that makes you feel stressed. You will love your profession, which when you have a profession with a mindset, passion in your mind, then from you, you're going to have.
Excuse me, sir. Siva, sir. Could you hear me?
Your age values getting added. Yes. Yeah, I'm able to hear you.
There is some voice break from your side, sir. Could you check your audio, please?
I mean,
Sir, still I could hear some audio discomfort from your side, sir. Yes, sir. We couldn't hear you, sir. Sriram, sir. Sir, could you please disconnect and reconnect so that I think the problem will get over. Shiva, sir, we could see you, but we could not hear your audio, sir.
hello, Sriram.
Yes, sir. Now I could hear you, sir.
Now is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry for that.
All right, sir.
Yeah. Kindly excuse me for that inconvenience, right? Uh, it's what that I just wanted to show to you, whether we have chosen this profession of teaching with love towards the job or just like that, right? If you have chosen the job just like that, then take it from me that you're going to experience only the stress in your journey as long as you're going to be in the teaching profession, right? But when you're chosen with a love, it what's something like that drives you as a passion, and you will enjoy any pressure that you experience with pleasure. Okay, so that is the one thing that I always start with my presentation when it is with the teaching faculties. Okay, um, now looking at this image, it's a different story on the whole, but I just related that to Taj, right? That's something called Three Men and the Taj. Okay, so there was three men who were working on a site, and one and as somebody like me with a bald head, some walking along the road, then just looked at those three members and went to the one of the person and just asked, "What you guys are doing?" The first person said, "Can't you see I'm just breaking the stones, right?" And having getting what he was doing, then I was just moving to the next person. I just asked him what he was doing. He said, "Yes, I'm breaking stones. I'm trying to build a wall, right?" So there is some sort of increment or the answer quality that I'm able to get. Right. When we went to the third person, he was saying, "Yes, we are breaking the stones to make the walls, which finally will look like a beautiful arch." That's where we teachers again are supposed to be. Right. Are we here just to deliver the lecture, or are we just here to deliver the lecture and get the result, or are we here to get deliver the lecture, get the result, find the end product achieving their goal or the dream or the vision that they come and join with us, right? So that's where the difference lies on. And welcome to this world of learning. And as a faculty member, we are completely responsible for the quality and the content of instruction in the classroom. Hope you all agree to this, right? So whatever we do in the class, we are completely responsible. As a faculty, as an individual, when I go and take a course to my students of any department for the sake, I am the owner for the case and I am fully responsible. Right? If something happens good, yes, I take a credit. When something goes wrong, yes, I should be there to take up the responsibility for that also. When we look at the objectives that guides a faculty, we come across so many universities, and one such university that I just want to share to you is University of North Georgia. Right? In their website itself, you will be able to understand these are the objectives and considerations that which should guide the faculty. Look at the point one by one. Point one states the faculty should provide the highest quality classroom instruction towards the attainment of the goal of the institution, of the university, college, the department, and the course. Ultimately, the purpose is getting to the students only, right? When it comes to the second one, as a faculty, I should combine the scholarships and research in the faculty members' major field of interest and incorporate the latest research, knowledge, and theory in the class instructions. Everywhere, even first point I was speaking about the course. Second point, yeah, I'm speaking about the class instructions. So the keywords, you just understand. First point is course, second point is class instructions. When I just go into the third one, as a faculty, we need to seek new and better devices, techniques, online technologies, procedures, and methods that may improve the teaching learning process. So the keyword here is teaching and learning process. Right. Getting into the fourth point, it speaks about the recognizing the individual needs of the students and providing. The key point here is challenging learning opportunities for all learners. Right. Fifth point, recognize and provide academic and career guidance and encouragement through formal and informal conferences with students in order to supplement and improve the regular classroom instruction. Here, the key point is supplementing and improving the regular classroom instruction. And the last point goes like develop efficient and equitable procedures for evaluation of student academic performance and assign grades that reflects the achievement and progress of students enrolled in the course. Provide timely timely and appropriate feedback to students. So the last point keyword is timely and appropriate feedback. To all the FDPs which I go, I refer to one way or the other way university, abroad universities, objectives and policies, right? So thereby we are also supposed to get ourselves uh, have a wide range of look of opportunities, right? But knowingly or unknowingly, we practice a lot of things, but on a policy matter, we miss to understand that there is something which is a guiding force for us, a guiding statement for us, which we call it as a policies and procedures, right? Without knowing that, we work on a lot of ways. But ultimately, when you look at such policies or such guiding philosophies, you will be able to understand that you are on the right track, right? So with these things, now let's move on to the learning domains. So this is where I just wanted to step into the learning domains and associated learning outcomes. We have three different learning domains for the matter. First domain is the cognitive domain, second domain is affective, and the third domain is psychometric. So these are the three domains that we have. And these three domains, in turn, we can call it as those which can improve our skills on the whole, right? When I say the first skill, the cognitive skill, it speaks about how I train my mind to work upon. Okay. And when I try to say that when my mind is working, it's speaking about the intellectual skills. Okay. So there, the learning outcome examples that you can look in are something like understanding, problem solving, categorizing, or memorization, etc. Anything it could be. But ultimately, all these things are happening only in your mind over the area, right? When you come to the second domain or the second skill, it's the affective domain. Okay, here it speaks about the emotions and responses. Right? Normally, we don't speak about these emotions and responses to the teachers of or engineers, but at times when we look at this affective domain, should also be an equipment or a trump card for us, right? Because we need to understand psychologically or emotionally what our students expect from us, right? So that's where I say the learning outcome example is a student of psychology may need to know and demonstrate appropriate emotional responses to future patient statements and actions, right? You might have a patient in the future and he might come out with some statements to you. And as a psychologist, you should be in a position to understand what his statement is on standing on his shoes and understand and then provide him a response. So that it's not about your mind saying, it's about your connectivity with the patient on the emotional background. So that's where is the affective domain is all about. And the third domain we speak about is a psychomotor. Psychomotor, as the name implies, it's a physical actions, right? And the hand-eye coordination. When somebody calls you by name, you immediately sense them and you just turn to them. Yes, you are creating emotion to your head or your eyes towards that person, right? When somebody raises a hand on us, then I provide an opposite reaction, right? So that's all these things are psychomotor domain. Okay. So here again in psychomotor domain, the best example could be a student of medicine studying to be a surgeon will need to know how to perform an incision. Incision is something like a surgery, right? You just have to cut your skin, peel through the skin, and just get into the body part and do your surgery, right? So knowing it theoretically and knowing it practically how to perform that differentiates, right? Knowing it theoretically limits itself with cognitive domain, but performing it, the incision comes out with psychomotor. Your mind should know how to do it, and at the same time, your eye and hand coordination should be there to just perform the incision, right? So hope I'm able to differentiate all these three domains. And here in this session, we're just going to limit ourselves to the cognitive domain. Okay. So under the cognitive, it's, as I already said, it's a style of learning that encourages the students to use their brain. Right? A question might arise: are our students not using their brains? Do I have an answer from a participant? Are our students not having their um, work on brain? Can somebody unmute themselves and speak out? Um, the floor is open and the participants can also speak out. I just made a statement like in cognitive learning environment, it's a style of learning where I'm encouraging my students to use their brain more effectively. I'm posing a question to you: are our students not using their brain? Do I have an answer from some? Yes. Or our students not using their brain in our class? Am I audible, Sriram?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. I suppose I should make the cognitive.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay, sir. So
Okay.
some students are using that, but some students are not.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I suppose now I should make myself cognitive. Okay. So here we have our students working on their brains, using their brains, but the ultimate underlining word is: are they using it effectively? Yes, they can use it effectively, but the problem is not with them. The problem is with us not initiating or letting them to use it effectively. When a PUBG can create their minds to get addicted, why not me in my classroom environment make my student to get addicted to my course? Right? That's a question which is always in front of me when I go to my student. When he comes out with a statement like, "I couldn't understand you," so that's a problem with me not delivering my lecture in the way that he can understand. Right? So as a faculty, we should first of all train our minds to teach them. It's not making them to learn, it is teaching them in such a way that they will learn it properly. Right? So again, teaching them should not be limited to making them memorizing. So that's what I said in my second point. Cognitive learning isn't about memorization or repetition. It's about learning how to learn, or creating a love for learning. So that should be an appropriate word. As a teacher, our prime target when we go to a student in our class should be creating an ambience which will create the students to have an affinity or a love towards that particular course or learning on the whole. Okay, so there are strategies that includes this. Something like we need to have an encouraging, active discussion of what is being taught in the class. It is not about just me going to my class and saying, "Okay, the target of the day is my headache is to teach you, and your headache is to listen to me." And I say, so then that doesn't serve the purpose at all, right? I am here just because you are there, and you are here just because I am here. So that's a win-win situation that we need to practice, and that's where we need to have an active discussion. As a faculty, we need to encourage that active discussion part. And when we do so, that is where your cognitive learning, that's where you create your mind of the students to work onto the next dimension. Okay. At the same time, I should also guide my students to explore and understand how ideas can be connected. Right? When I teach a course from module 1 or unit 1 to unit 5, that should be connectivity between those units. They cannot be left as isolated islands. Right? So we need to understand that that should be connectivity. And we are responsible as a teacher to connect them and make the student understand that this is how these courses units are coordinated. Right? And we need to ensure that students are able to justify and explain their thinking. And we need to use visuals and learning tools to improve students' understanding and recalling. Like we can do online MCQ tests, or give them some presentations, give them some case study approaches, make them to attend for some presentative conferences, right? And next point is having students reflect on their learning experience. They should come to us and say, "Sir, this is what I have learned, and this is what I feel like this could be experimented." Right? So that sort of interaction coming back to you and saying, "Am I learned, or what I'm trying to say as I have learned is right? If that is right, then can I move to this next level?" So that sort of interaction between the student as a faculty is needed. And then we need to help our students to find a new or alternative solution to a problem. Unless otherwise, at the end of our course, a student comes out with a problem and a solution, our task of taking a particular subject on the particular semester doesn't serve the purpose. So for a particular problem, at the end of our course, there should be a student should be coming out with some solutions, right? At least an idea, not necessary. It has to be an achievable or a justifiable solution. If he comes out with a vague statement like this could be a solution that serves our 6 months task. Okay. So these are the three factors that will have in cognitive learning. First stands with comprehension, second with the memory, and the third with the application. Comprehension part, when I say it is all about understanding what it is. Memorizing part is we need to relate our past and the present, right? Whatever we had experienced in the past, that knowledge should be used onto the current trend, and that's where we use it. And application is use those correct combination of both the past and the present and apply that into create a new one. Okay, so that's what I put here. Under comprehension, you are trying to build a cognitive learning skill that teaches how to learn more effectively. And when students will learn to do more than repeat what they have learned. Okay, and we are supposed to bring in the minds of the students a three-letter word why behind a topic, right? Why this topic is for me? Why this faculty is for this topic? Why this faculty, this topic at this time? So that question of why should always be in their head, and always the answer should always be with us. Okay. When it comes to the memory part, like the days were there when we used to
Shiva sir, are you there? Shiva sir, we could not hear you. Your PPT has frozen, sir.
yeah, Sriram, am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. Yes, sir, please.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir, audible, sir.
Sir, could you hear me? Sir, I couldn't hear your voice now. Sir, we couldn't hear your voice, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Now you are audible, sir.
I'm sorry, I just couldn't understand what the problem is. Okay,
It's okay, sir.
Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes,
From the
yes.
factors of cognitive learning, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. I don't know from where I got interrupted.
It was from memory, I think so, sir.
In this
Yeah,
slide,
factors. Yes, yes, yes. That which rising side.
this was visible, right? On the
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Sorry. Okay. Okay. On the memorizing days, whether when we were memorizing with the drill and kill memorization, right? When a teacher comes to our class and says, "Okay, today we are going to learn tables," right? So he starts with saying 1 1s are 1 and 1 2s are 2, 1 3s are 3. That's how our table 1 has got into our minds. Every day he comes to the class and starts with saying, okay, now roll number 1 starts with the table 1, roll number 2 starts with table 2, and so that's what is, we call it as the drill and kill memorization. But now in this point of time, you cannot expect your students to do that, right? So where you cannot practice this memorization method, in turn you will have to deal with them in a different way, right? And in the last case of application, it is where you have to give them a lot of problems or case study approaches and make them to improve their cognitive learning skill. Okay, so the benefit ultimately comes on the cognitive learning is it improves the comprehension skill of the students, it develops the problem solving skills, promotes long-term learning. How can I say that it's long-term or lifelong learning is? It gets into the mind and he has practically visualized and he has practically experienced doing it in the lab, right? So it remains in his mind forever. And once when he has seen the result in front of his eyes, it literally has improved his confidence, right? And ultimately, a love of learning has got instilled, right? So these are the few things that I just wanted to say about this cognitive learning. And getting into the Bloom's taxonomy, yes, Bloom's taxonomy in 1956 was the time when Bloom has given out this taxonomy along with his friends Engelhardt, First, and Krathwohl, right? And even now, this is the most recognized learning theory in the field of education. Yes. And we use this Bloom's taxonomy to create learning outcomes. Yes, learning outcomes, when we say it could be uh, uh, a learning outcome on every unit or a course outcome on the whole of a particular course, right? That does not limit only with the subject matters, but also get beyond that into a depth of understanding that, depth of learning that the student has got, right? So, and that is where this Bloom's taxonomy still keeps itself alive. Okay. So when I said 1956, it was as a first pyramid that you find here. This was how it was. The base was with the knowledge. Second was comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Right. The first three levels of the pyramid, namely the knowledge, comprehension, and application, are dealing with the lower order thinking skills. Right. So just when you get into a class, you teach them something. Yeah, they get the knowledge. Okay, when you get into the class, you teach them something and they are able to find out or remember that into the next level. They are able to write that on their own words, means then that gets into the comprehension level. When they can express in their own words and they can solve a few of the problems, analytical problems, then that comes into the application area, right? So these three forms on the lower order thinking skills. To move on to the fourth stage onwards requires a high uh, cognitive level of learning on the minds of the teacher. He should create an environment where the student, after applying, comes out with analyzing the part, like doing a postmortem on the whole of a particular experiment and finding out what went wrong, how this could be sorted out. When those things can be answered, then that's where the analysis falls. And then is on the synthesis and finally the evaluation. When they reach the evaluation, that was the highest order of thinking in the initial stage. But in 2001, there was a change that was brought into the Bloom's taxonomy from a noun to a verb. So that was one of the change, and the final, the top two parameters, thinking skills, has got swapped. Their roles were swapped, right? So knowledge is now renamed as remember, comprehension is understand, application is apply, analysis as analyze, synthesize as create, and evaluation as evaluate. So the nouns as verb, right? So this is what the changes that we have seen in the Bloom's taxonomy since 2001. Am I audible? Yeah. Let me be sure.
Yes, sir.
I'm on the track. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sometimes I should have to test myself. Okay, fine. Since 2001, this is what we are following in the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, it starts with remembering. Yes, uh, remembering that I should go to class. Yes, that's a base level. That's a lowest order of thinking skill. Remembering that I have a class, I have to go and take class is understanding. Remembering that I have a class, I have to go and take class, and what I took yesterday and what I'm going to do today, and That's what is applying. Analyzing that, what the students, whether they have completed their homework or not, or do they have come out with a problem statement, that's where analysis falls into picture. And the other two doesn't fall into this application. Okay. So this is the general revised Bloom's taxonomy, right? Looking at the inner circle, the remembering concept, the question that falls into our mind is, can the student recall or remember the information? Whatever we give in the class, is the student able to recall and remember? So the keywords that you can use to understand whether the student has remembered the information are something like define, list, memorize, state. If my question goes like define Ohm's law, state Newton's second law. So all those things just gives a level of knowledge level as a remembering level. Okay. Getting into the next level of Bloom's, it is about understanding. There you will find the question something like, can the student explain ideas and concepts? So there the keywords will be something like classify, discover, rather than student vomiting as it is the definition, he will be able to write in his own words, right? When you can make that sort of learning in their minds, then that means to say that they are in the second level of Bloom's, namely in the understanding level, right? Coming into the third level, it is on applying, right? Here the question that falls into our mind is, can the student use the information in a new way, right? Here we will give them a word like demonstrate, interpret, sketch, solve, employ this law and find out what is this parameter. If we give such questions, then the student will be able to apply the basic definition and the formulas, use the numerical values that we have given in our problem statement and give us an answer. So that is where they apply their minds on what they understood and they give us a result, right? So that's a third level of Bloom's. Fourth level is analyzing. Can the students distinguish between different parts? Where you are supposed to put the questions like compare, contrast, something like differentiate. If you're able to put such questions in the assessment patterns, then they will be able to use their minds to differentiate. They will have able to think what is in this and what is in this, X and Y. So they will be able to compare on or both is X and Y on different parameters, and they will be able to let us know. That's where they analyze, right? And on the fifth level, it is, can the student justify a stand or a decision, right? That is something like you have to make them evaluate on a particular process, right? Or appraise a particular system, right? Or you make them argue that they are able to come out, make sure that their method of arriving is right. Okay. Or give them a case study where they can judge on which is right and which is wrong, right? So those sort of, if that learning abilities are being inculcated in the minds of the students, then it is something like they are into the fifth level in the Bloom's taxonomy. And on the topmost level, which is at the HOTS, higher order thinking skill, is creating something new. Can the student create a new product, right? For which you need to give something like create or design or assemble or formulate. Such remains the keywords for that point, right? So having these things in mind, when for the next few slides, we are going to have some questions which will let us know whether what this level is all about, right? Remember, yes, remember was the innermost circle, or which is at the lowest order of thinking, right? So where we just look at the factual knowledge of the specific terminologies, ways and means, and we just give out the answers. The behavioral outcome is just ability to recall the learned information, and which is the lowest level of learning outcome. And the words are arranged, define, describe, explain. All these words will come into picture: state, view, and so. By how, what are the methods that you can use to demonstrate this remember skill? Or something like lecture method, memorizing method. You let the students read by their own in the library. Yes, that they can read and remember. You show them a video, they will remember. You give some website, they will go to Google it, and then they can remember. And how do you assess them? The assessment is purely by the question and answer, And the questions are supposed to be convergent and with limited answers. Don't make it as an open-ended question. Try to limit that question as a close-ended question so that the students will feel that they learn something at the very beginning stage. Okay, and on a summative assignment, our exam questions will be something like define something, label the parts of it, list the different points, something like that. Okay, so the example is label the parts of a human body. A question is something like that doesn't need any big skills upon. They just have to remember the different parts of the body. They just have to recite it, right? So this is one type of question. Coming to the next level of understanding, yes, it is something to do with understanding the meaning of an information or a material. Here, the learning outcome is on explaining or summarizing and predicting the consequences or result, right? And this stands as the second lowest level of understanding. Okay, here the keywords are classify, convert, describe, discuss, explain, and it goes on. The example question could be here again, the teaching methods could be reading. Uh, now you will be able to find the difference. For remembering, we had the lecture as one of the teaching learning methods, but here that is missing, right? For making the point understand, you don't have to give them a lecture way. Even lecture forms a part of understanding, but that's at the second level. Okay, here again, the formative assessment is QA, and the summative assessment is something like describe, explain, summarize, identify. Where do the summative assessment points comes into picture is when you set up a question paper, right? When you set a question paper for your course, these are the few words that you should always remember when you frame a question where you want to understand the understanding nature of the student. Okay, an example question is trace the path the stimulus takes from the time light enters the eye to the processing of a visual cortex. So this is something like a question where the student has to understand how the light travels, where he doesn't have to analyze because it is not something new. It is already planned. Coming to the applying area, use the informations and materials and then solve the problems. You will have a formula where x and y, a plus b whole square is equal to something. So you know when a value of a and b is given, you substitute in that a square plus b square plus 2ab, you get an answer, right? So that's what is. You have to know the formula, and when you are provided with the values of a and b, you can apply on that and get me the answer, right? So that's again demonstrates the base of the higher level of understanding. Okay, and these are the few key phrases for it, right? And the teaching learning methods for that application cases, you will have to use some case studies or scenario based problems, which could be basically used in some management schools and at higher third year or final year or pre-final year classes. You can practice these sessions, right? And the formative questions, again, adding to the QA, we need to have some student demonstrations within small groups, right? So you give them a small mini project, something like that, and where they can apply the analytical skills that they have, and they can come out. In the mini project, it is not, it is limited to a simulation based, right? That they can use it. But when they go with hardware part of it, then that gets into the next level analysis part. Okay, the summative assignment is something like a applying, use, solve, demonstrate. Okay, now look at the example question. Apply the opponent process color theory to predict how the world appears to the major varieties of color blindness and color vision anomaly, right? So you can clearly distinguish between these two cases. For a person who has color blindness and color vision anomaly, how the world appears and how it is supposed to be created is based on this color theory, open-ended process color theory. So there they have to apply their minds of understanding. They should first understand what is this theory speaking about, and they should understand how the world appears, correlate them, then they have to give us. So that's where the application part comes into picture. Getting into the next level of analysis, here you have to decompose materials into the component parts so that they can be examined and understood. Decomposing is again few to
many and a single has got into picture. You have combined so many subsystems and made as a system on the whole. Now you have to break that major system into subsystems, right? So that's what is analysis, right? And you should know how to make that subsystems broken from a main system. You cannot break just like that, right? That needs an uh, analytical skills, applying the minds of it, right? And here the learning outcome is the student is able to develop multiple conclusions on concerning the motives, causes, inferences, generalizations. He not only knows how to do it, he also will come to know how not to do it. Okay. And here the outcome is, yes, it is on the comprehension, understanding the content and structure of the material, right? These are the key phrases. And here the teaching methods, you will come across simulations coming into picture, laboratories coming into picture, where discussions should happen, right? And when it is a discussion, then you will surely come out with a student presentation in a group, right? Individual presentations does not improve the level of cognitive learning, but a group presentation will surely kindle the minds of the individuals, right? So as much as possible, we need to make sure that it is a small group or a big group, but it should not be an individuals, right? On a summative part, the question goes like analyze, compare, distinguish, right? And so look at the question: compare and contrast Helmholtz's place theory to Rutherford's frequency theory, right? Both the theories you need to compare and contrast. So this question, they have to break their minds to understand what this theory speaks initially, what this theory speaks, and then they'll have to apply their minds, and they should compare and contrast, right? So that is what is the skill on analysis. Coming into the fifth one on evaluate, it's on you judge a value of a material based on a personal value or opinions or different criteria. So when you do so, that's something like you are evaluating something, right? So here the student is able to produce an end product that fulfills a given process rather than being right or wrong. It is not a matter of right or wrong. Okay. And there the phrases, look at the phrases, it's apprise, argue, assess, choose, compare, conclude, contrast. Compare and contrast will come in both evaluate as well as analyze. Okay. But the subsequent part matters. Okay. So here the teaching learning methods are case studies and debates. Just because we said argue, okay, and criticize, judge, justify, predict, these are those words which brings in debates as one of the teaching learning methods, right? So in our post-graduation studies or in the management schools, if you can have a sort of debates or case study approach presentations, then understand that you are not doing those things in the lower order of thinking, but it's all happening in the higher order of thinking skills in the minds of the people, right? Where a conventional way of assessment does not work out, where you have to go with rubrics. Okay. Then on the formative assignment, it is like a question and answer session and small group discussions, debates. Summative area, evaluate, argue, judge. These are the few points. Now come to look at the question. Evaluate the ADA guidelines of light of what you have learned about blindness and critique its strength and weakness. Do you believe the guidelines are effective? Why or why not? When a question of something is given for 40 marks, then you can expect them to think a lot and write for pages together, right? And if you put it in form of a small presentations, they will make miracles, right? Students are there to make miracles, but it is up to us to kindle the minds of them, right? So it's our bounded responsibility. The last domain is the create domain, okay, where you use your skills and you create a new application of prior knowledge and skills. With what you have learned from understanding, you remember, you applied, you analyzed, you evaluated, now you finally come out with a creation of it, right? So where it is at the highest order of thinking, and that is where you adapt, you anticipate, you arrange, assemble, collaborate, collect, devise, design, incorporate, hypothesize. So these are the few key phrases for assessment, right? And the teaching methods, of course, no lecture methods can create that environment. It is only on research labs. You will have to have plan development. You will have to interact with the experts. You will have multiple case study approach, right? And on formative, it is QA, small presentations, small group discussions. But on summative, you will be able to find, you will design and build a model, you will create a work of art, you will have presentations, you will have portfolios and all these things. Okay. An example question is this: choose a perceptual disorder and create a device that would mitigate its effect. Here you are you're left open-ended. You are supposed to find a perceptual disorder. You can choose on any of the perceptual disorder, right? And then you will have to create a device. It is not choosing a device again. Once when you have chosen a device, then the question is now moving to the next level. You have to create a device. For what? That will mitigate its effects. Like in that case, all the 5 levels of understanding should be fighting in the minds of the student, and finally he comes out with a device, a new created device. Okay, so these are how our 6 levels of Bloom's will work on, right? So this is what I said on the Bloom's taxonomy. On the cognitive domain, it's on remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Okay, and it's corresponding the phrases and what it is all about, right? And am I in the track? Yeah. Am I in the track?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Um, Again, these are the few things which were taken, consolidated from the earlier 12 slides, and the learning activities are here as put us. Like there, I said, the learning activities, like you will have to list memory, and when it comes here, it is case study. Here, when it comes, it is second case study. Here, you have to have debates. Here, you will have to have some journals, and at the last, you will have some design projects, right? So these are the learning activities. This slide speaks about what are the learning activities that you need to have. You will come across when you experience of all the 6 domains. These domains are cognitive domains in the Bloom's taxonomy, right? These are not on affirmative domain or psychomotor domain. These 6 phrases: remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create are in the cognitive domain, right? And on the cognitive process, the levels of knowledge, it is split out into 4: factual, conceptual, procedural, and metacognitive, right? So under the factual, what happens is the basic element that what the student has to know on his discipline. So those things are limited to factual. Then on the interrelationship between the elements with a larger structure is conceptual. Procedural is how to do things and methods of. And metacognitive is something like uh, you should have a knowledge of cognition in general, as well as awareness on knowledge of one's own cognition, right? You have to relate on the outside internal environment as well as the external environment. This is what the 4 levels of knowledge, right? And this we need to relate that to the cognitive dimension of the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, so what do we do here is the knowledge level K1, K2, K3, and K4, right? And these are my Bloom's taxonomy phrases. So this was a matrix which was available at the initial stage. Later, as when Clark and Mayer and Chopeta worked on 2004 and 7, they have introduced 2 more uh, uh, contents into it, right? Namely, process and principles came into picture, adding to the initial 4. Okay, now it is 7. So what is that process is? It is something like one after the other, a flow of events, right? So this basically should be there in the minds of the individual. That is what they concluded. So what they did was there were normally 2 types of process. One was business process and the other one was a technical process. Okay, in business process you speak about the workflows. In technical process you describe about how things work in equipment or nature. So a step-by-step approach of what should be done first, what should be done second, what should be done third. Those were explained in the procedures. And finally, on principles, they were able to come out with guidelines, rules, and parameters that governs. Initial case that was not there, right? So these 2 things were added, and then the matrix came into picture. got redefined into this. Then K level, instead of 4, it is now 6. Factual, conceptual, process, procedure, principle, and metacognitive. This might look quite vague for us right now. So, but what the next slide will clearly let us know. If my questions are starting with the phrases like this, like list the different parts of a human body, then that's going to talk about the K level 1, factual level. And that's going to address my first lowest order of cognitive domain in my Bloom's taxonomy, remember. If the same factual knowledge, if it can be rephrased as a word or paraphrase, then that moves into an understanding. If it is rephrased to classify, then that moves into application area. If you can use the word outline the application of a particular law, then it brings out the analysis part of it, right? When you say rank, after outlining, you will have to prioritize them. Okay, so that's where, even though it is already available, you increase the level to the next one, you need to evaluate on the rank, finally on the category. So this table will clearly tell you this different K levels, knowledge levels starting from factual to metacognitive. Okay, and these are on the Bloom's taxonomy. Till the Bloom's taxonomy, we were able to be, we could have already heard of, but on the knowledge level of it, we might not have got into this picture, right? So any question can be on any level of understanding, provided the question is properly using the right word. Okay, so that usage of word should be, the student should be aware of. For this particular word, this is how I should be presenting my answer, right? So for that, we should first know what it is, and then we should explain our students of how it has to be reproduced. Okay, for a question like define something, he should not write for pages together. When a word is defined, it should be on to the point, a definition that ends a show, right? But when the question is like critic, where he cannot limit himself with what is available, he has to understand what it is, he has to apply his mind of what's pros and cons, and then he has to finally come and critic, right? So understand this slide. I will just make sure that the organizers will be sharing you this presentation, so that we don't spend much time on this slide, right? So this is a program outcome that is defined by NBA. For an undergraduation program, we have got 12 POs. Why this PO is being brought into this slide is, yes, outcomes. Outcomes, attainment of any program is evaluated by program outcome and program specific outcome, right? So to make this PO and PSO attainment, we need to have course outcome assessment. To make sure that the course assessment attainment is evaluated, then my statement of course outcome should be made clear, or it is written properly. To write that course outcome properly, it is where my Bloom's taxonomy is coming into picture, right? Hope I'm able to make you understand. So again, here I'm comparing the different program outcomes. Out of the 12 program outcomes, the first 4 outcomes can be correlated or compared with the Bloom's level. Your level, remember and understand, never comes into your assessment of PO, program outcome of your NBA. But when you look at the third level of Bloom's level apply, it works out with PO1. Analyze PO2. Evaluate works with PO4. Conduct investigations, right? Create goes with PO3. PO3 is design and development of solution. Okay, so it works with PO3. So the 6 levels of Bloom suggested will work out on the first 4 program outcomes of NBA, right? So this is one thing that we need to understand. Okay, so again, as said, the POs and PSOs need to be addressed through the course outcome of existing courses in the curriculum. And how do we write a course outcome, right? Writing a course outcome is is basically a skill that the course coordinator should have, or the competency, right? What he or she expects the students to have at the end of the course. It is what is going to speak about the course outcome, right? At the end of the course, what my student have gained. Okay, and that should be smart enough. It should be specific. It should be measurable. It should be realistic. It should be time bound. Okay, and a course may have 5 to 6 course outcomes, right? And every course should be mapped with the POs and PSOs, right? This is what we say. When you define a course outcome, you are not going to define that outcome with a topic. You're going to define that outcome with the skill level of understanding of the student. So when I say skill level, again, I'm going to use my Bloom's taxonomy. Okay. Am I audible? Yeah. Am I on the track? Times.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Thank you. Thank you. So when we are speaking about defining the course outcome, so for example, let me take a course of my own stream. I have chosen two of my courses. One is signals and systems, and the other one is digital electronics. Okay. So for a course like signals and systems, I'm sorry if none of the participants are in this domain of electronics and communication, but if you can correlate this to your course. If you have 5 units in your course, and then you will be asked to write a course outcome, right? Normally, a course outcome, when you write, this falls into this particular table format, where the first thing is you will first write the basic statement. At the end of the course, the student will have. Then comes your course outcome number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And every course outcome will have few words like this: define, understand, explain. So these were the few words that we have already seen in this area: define, recite, recognize, explain. Okay. So one way or the other way, in out of the 6 levels in the Bloom's taxonomy, you're going to use any of such words to as one of your course outcome statement. Based on that usage of word on that course outcome, you're going to make sure that whether it is on the understanding or whether it is on remembering or evaluating out of the 6 levels, right? So once when you put on the Bloom's taxonomy verbs, then parallelly you can put on the POs to which it will be getting mapped with program outcomes, right? When you are able to do so, this column you can use it for the attainment calculation, whereas this column will be used for the question paper setting, right? So when the course after for the assessment in the end semester, when this course is being given to some other outside college faculty for question paper setting, then he or she will first is supposed to look at the course outcome of the courses. There they will understand what are the words which is being used. Okay. Based on that, they will be able to frame the question. Right? So if it is only on the remembering level, then there is no point in asking a question on analyzing skill. If it is an analyzing skill, then the lower 3 part: understanding, remembering, applying. So all those 4 plus analyzing can be used. Okay. So the question, this is a maximum part where the question can be falling, right? So this plays a vital role when you frame your course outcome, right? And as already said, every course outcome that you have created should be mapped with your program outcomes and program specific outcomes, right? So I just said that the remembering skill will not be mapping, understanding and remembering skill will not be mapping with any of the POs. And that's the reason behind it is this CO1 has not been mapped with any of the POs or PSOs, while the other course outcomes are being mapped with. Okay, this is just for a skeleton. Don't take it just like that. It's left to the individual course coordinators. Okay, coming to the next course on digital electronics, this is one of the courses which I like the most. Here you will be able to find that For this 5 units, I have defined my course outcomes as 7 course outcomes, right? And for every course outcome, I have given them words: understand, define, apply, analyze, design, conduct experiments, okay, engage. So with these words, I can understand what can be the level of questions and the POs where it can be addressed to, right? And this is how we frame our articulation matrix, right? A course with its mapping with POs and PSOs. What is this 3-to-1 stances? 3 to the maximum linkage between this CO and the PO. If it is 2, it is moderate. If it is 3, it is the lowest linkage, weightage. Okay. Well, for the next few minutes, we are going to learn something about the different types of learners and to which learner you can give which question, right? We basically have split learners into 4 types of learners. The first type 1 learner are principally interested in personal meanings, right? Second learner is they are keen on the details as they result in conceptual understanding. Third, they want to do something work and practical side. Fourth one is they are interested to improve and self-discovery, right? Mere coming to college, something type 1. Coming to college, learning something, getting things done, type 2. Coming to college, learning something, getting things done, and applying them in the practical aspect, type 3. And doing something, creating new is on the type 4 learners, right? So for these type 4 learners, one way or the other way, you will find almost every of our students will fall in any one of the category. Very few will fall in category 1 and 4, but majority you will find them in the level 2 and 3. So it is the faculty who is supposed to organize their teaching based on the students' learning skills. The biggest challenge is you will have a classroom where you will find all these 4 are mixed together. So you will have to split your time or be with them at any point of time and find out which method that you can choose to cater to the expectation of which level of students. Okay. So this is one of the question papers when we said, these are the few questions that you will come across. When it is just on the initial level of knowledge or remembrance level, question will be something like, what is meant by PSW? Okay, define stack pointer. Questions will be something directly, where a student doesn't have to break their head. He just have to uh, pull out what he has memorized and vomit it, right? Comprehensive type. Here, what is the need of an interrupt controller? He knows what is interrupt controller. Now he has to apply his mind and find out what is the need. Okay, so the word which is differentiating is the word is need. Explain the role of DMA. Okay, so if this question is there, then that falls into my second category, understanding. Only if he knows what is DMA, only if he knows what is microprocessor, he can make these 2 relations. DMA in a microcontroller. Role he can write, right? Coming to the third one, application area. Okay, here it's something like this. I write and apply assembly language program to enable all the interrupts of 8085 after reset. Here the question is split into 3, right? Enabling is first one. Enabling all the interrupts is second one. Enabling all the interrupts after reset is a third one. So here he has to apply his mind and he has to think of. Okay. So this is when such questions are being given, it is like you are testing his application skill, level 3. Okay. Level 4 is his analyzing skill. Okay. So here you're going to analyze his skill like write an ALP that uses 8253 to generate a delay for 1 second and runs a digital clock using 8279 for displaying. Okay. 8279 is an pin number IC for keyboard and display. Okay. 8253 is a processor, right? So where you're in the processor, you're going to use a delay of 1 second and you're going to run a digital clock and you're going to show that in the display device. Okay. So you need to understand 1, 2, and 3. 3 things you are supposed to break down and you are supposed to analyze each of it. right? And delay is coming into picture, right? Evaluation is initializing 8253, 8251, and to find the transmit and receive of a character. These are the two different peripheral ICs which are connected to a microprocessor or a microcontroller, right? So whenever you connect a peripheral device to such devices, you are supposed to first initialize them. So you first have to understand what is this, then connect it to the mother processor, where then in the mother processor you will initialize, then you're going to transmit and receive, send and receive a character. So it is a big lengthy process. So that's why it is evaluation process. It's there, right? And on a creating part of it, yeah, yes, it's you have a motor, and if you want to control the speed of it, yes, you will limit yourself with the creation as the cognitive skill. Okay, so these are how you are supposed to take care of such verbs in the Bloom's taxonomy, and phrase a questions as well as design your course outcome, right? So it's all in the hands of an individual faculty who is going to take the course, right? um, yeah, am I audible? Yes. Indra?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. How many more minutes do I have, madam? I said by one I should complete. Do I have few more minutes? Hello? 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 Do we
Yes,
have
sir. It's audible, sir. One second, sir.
okay, till what time I have to, can proceed? Okay. Let us always understand that our job is not to um, come to a class and deliver and then go away. It begins at the stage where you devise your syllabus. You might say, yes, I'm not working in an university, or I'm not working in an autonomous institute where I have a freedom to make my own course syllabi or a curriculum. Okay, but then with the available syllabus and curriculum, you can determine on which teaching and learning methodology that you're going to use. But you have that freedom, right? So use that freedom. With that freedom, you can create a healthy environment in the classroom of making them understand to which level you can make your students to work on, to which you have to first understand this individual student learning ability. First, understand their learning ability. Then, based on their learning ability, give different dosage of your content delivery. Okay, and keep an eye on them and make sure that the assessment of individuals are done separately, right? And it's purely on the hands of the individual course handling faculty. After framing your course outcome, you have seen that this level of question paper that is supposed to be set is also decided by you only. So you cannot blame a question paper setter that he has crossed certain limit, right? Just by the words that you have used in your course outcome, me as a individual, I'm going to set my questions, right? So when you use such words in the course outcome, make sure that it makes sense of it, right? And at the same time, when you set question papers, you are again supposed to understand that does this question meets to the requirement of what is being decided in the course outcome. Okay, so there should be a clear link between those two cases. The link is completely created by the phrases that we have used in the Bloom's taxonomy. Okay, and in that also, again, it is on the cognitive 6 levels. Okay, so with those few things in mind, as it's crossing one, let me take this point to uh, make sure that we are together going to create a love of learning in the minds of our students, and wishing you all the best. Never doubt your abilities for a moment in life. Wish you good luck and fly like stars, right? So this is me, Shiva Subramanian, signing off from this presentation right now. I will recommend the organizers to share the presentation with you. In case if you have got anything that you just want to discuss, you can drop into my mail ID or into my WhatsApp number. We can have a discussion on this, right? So thank you so much. Thanks to the coordinator of the FDP and the team members of School of Management Studies of Karpuram College of Engineering for this opportunity. Over to the organizers.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Mr. Subramaniam, sir. It was a wonderful session indeed, because for many of the faculty, whenever it comes as COPO mapping or groups taxonomy, it's a bit all new, and we always feel that it is a bit of a cranky thing. We will not be able to crack it always. But you have made it in a very simple and very easy manner, so that all of us had a feel that yes, it is possible for us to understand it in a better way. And ultimately, the purpose behind it is to apply it for the proper evaluation of the students and to help them to nurture their competence, right? Examples and even mentioned the COPO mapping was clearly explained, and it's highly informative for all of them. Because whenever we go for any sessions which says that it speaks about Bloom's taxonomy, people always take it like it will be like once in a blue moon sort of concept, right? So rarely we hear about it, and whoever picks it up, we take it, we'll implement it, we'll go ahead with that. And whenever clear understanding of what exactly the OPS is everything, and why is it needed when we design a curriculum or a subject syllabus. So that part has been well explained today. And based on the inputs that they had today, I'm sure at least here afterwards we'll be able to do justice in that area whenever we sit for our own curriculum or course formation, right? So this positive feedback, like from the participants also, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude and thanks to you on behalf of AACT and IST, as well as on behalf of Department of Management Studies and on my own behalf. As usual, you have made it as a wonderful session. Thank you very much for your time. I know in spite of you have got so many things running towards our NAC processing, and we are held up with so much of documentation work. But in spite of that, when I requested you, you have readily accepted to deliver a session on this, and you have made it in a wonderful way. Thank you very much, and wish you good luck.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Thanks to the organizer and the team on the whole. Thank you, participants. And I apologize if I was not able to meet your course as an example, because that's where I missed out. I was speaking with the organizer. Yeah,
it was really awesome. Yeah, really made it.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
My name is Lakshmi.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, the session was really fantastic. The knowledge you had provided, the types of learners, how to cater the different types of learners, all these stuff. So it was really, we could even brush up our knowledge on these things. I have a small doubt, sir.
Yes, madam, please.
See, what I examined in my classroom is that if we are teaching them something, some concepts, okay, if we are asking them to figure out some case studies, some problem solving situations, if we are giving it to them, if we are asking them with the help of as a guided practice, as a group discussion, they are able to solve it properly. Yeah. Imagine if I am giving them critically evaluate these all things, but when we keep such questions in exams, yes, okay, in answer sheet they are not able to provide the answers with examples. If I am asking them to illustrate or elucidate, okay, they are not coming up in such a level. So what can we do as a teacher to guide them? However we are guiding them as a guided practice in the classroom, however we are explaining them, like, such terms, you have to come up with examples, illustrations, but The students, if it is given in the textbook, they are ready to provide it. But something which is out of the textbook, they are not ready to think even it is in the examination hall. So could you please guide me? How could I move forward?
Well, Lakshmi madam, to answer to your question, well, that's always a question that whenever we get into such presentation, we just get as a first question. Thanks for coming back in this session also. Fine. That's what I say you. Mere QA will not serve the assessment of such questions, right? So when we say illustrate or elucidate, our conventional way of assessment gets limited with question and written statement, right? And the evaluation of the written statement is yes or no. But rather than on that, if that is extended to the form of a rubrics level of assessment, rather than putting it as a QA, if you are, I don't know, you are working in an autonomous institution or an affiliated institution. If you are in an autonomous
no,
institution,
actually, sir, I am a higher secondary teacher, so
okay,
it's a private school here. Yeah.
Okay, in the school level, if you can encourage debate, something like that, then that will create. But overall, when you asked, it is in the assessment pattern. Initially, the best practice that we can do is create debate at regular intervals, create discussions at regular intervals, where you give this question, illustrate, or make somebody to work on a small team and write that. We are good at speaking, but when it comes to the matter of writing, I myself find it trouble at this age to. I can speak for on a lot of these things, but when it comes to the writing, it is going to be a tough time. So for that, what we are practicing is whatever we speak in the discussion, we ask the students to write it down. Even in the group discussion, in the training and placement, we used to tell whoever is discussing on any points, every individual has to write down what the discussion was all about, right? And finally, we will handpick one of the person who finds it difficult to express that in the exam. Like you said, no, one or two students, they have a difficulty in expressing that when such question is offered. Those sort of students you can handpick and you can make them summarize the discussion or the case study presentation, where they will come out with whatever they have the written materials which had in the debate or the presentation, and they will come and present. Where if you can appreciate them, touch them emotionally, then you will really find a difference of their appearance in the examination of the assessment. But that needs an emotional touch between the teacher and the learner. Okay, so that needs a practice, but that needs an extra time also should be spent by the faculty, right? So
Yeah, that's
just try
it.
this, Lakshmi madam. If you can just try this with the student, make them to write. I don't know whether you have made them to write on the group
Yes,
discussion.
we do insist that, sir. We do insist that whatever
Catch
lecture
hold
is
of that
going on.
student.
Yeah.
If you have Siva Subramanian finding it difficult to write in the exam, catch hold of Siva Subramanian and you tell Shiva, it is your headache to summarize at the end of the session. And next day you will have to submit a report to the teacher of 2 pages, right? That report, when he comes and submits it in your cabin, get it. Go to the class and appreciate that gentleman, right? Yesterday's session report was submitted by so-and-so. It was very good. I like to see that same sort of things in the exams also. Of course, you can find some differences. That's how I'm seeing it in my students, right? In the past few years, because of my training of all my mentors. Okay, let's work it out and
We'll
let us
try
find
it,
out.
sir. Definitely, we'll try it, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Vanita, madam, you have any other solutions for this particular question? Like what Lakshmi madam was posing?
You are muted, ma'am. We are not able to hear you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. So actually, that was a good question, Lakshmi ma'am. So because of Your question, I think almost other participants also got benefited, right? The input from Srivastava was really good and relevant. So, because now many times it happens even at college level also, not only at school level, at UG as well as PG level it happens. So his answer applies to like almost all categories. So in that way it was really good. If at all, if any participants have got any other questions, you can come out with your questions. Because right from morning, like all these sessions, we are extending it for 10 minutes. Fortunately, like the participants, they have to join the next session. Also, they've got very little, like limited time only as a break in between. But it's a very rare case, like to have wonderful sessions like this with great learning opportunities, right? So that way, it was really okay to accept things.
But you know, this lockdown is really tying our hands, right? But if we have a face-to-face FDP, you know, those days we are missing right now.
Exactly.
Those days.
That networking and personal touch, right? That we are missing. That is good.
One way the travel is limited, but the other side, one-to-one interaction between the learners has to happen, right?
Exactly.
So that's missing, right? The same thing is with the student also. Me sitting here, student sitting here.
Very good also, right? Yeah. Okay then. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much, sir. I thank all the participants also for your involvement and interactions and your feedback. I hope we all must have had a wonderful learning experience today. So expecting you all to join back the next session by 2 o'clock to learn something about learning management system today. So once again, thank you very much, Srivastava. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shiva Subramanian, sir, for your valuable session. Dear participants, the next session will be start by 2 p.m. Use the same link to join the session. Thank you.